What is this? What is what? 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 What is that? Wait, what? Okay. Stop right there, mister. Yes, sir. I don't believe the house is going to be big enough for this. I know my table's not big enough. So, shh. Kaiques aside, this is what the Carbon Z Cessna 150 looks like in the box. I'm a little more creative than others, wherein I will actually move my camera around and show you how it's all packaged in there. Let you know what kind of job they did in Tetrising our little baby, excuse me, our big giant baby together in here. So, okay, detailed. We want details. This is my first plane. It's not supposed to be anybody's first plane. So, yeah, I may just crash and burn and go buy another plane. Who knows? I've been flying many years. Line of sight, virtual. Even flew a Cessna 172 just a week ago. So this is what I want to see. Details. Details like, oh, they did cut away a little piece so that pre-installed horn and rod would not get damaged. That's pretty nice that they did that. Okay, here's all your goodies. All kinds of goodies. Strapped in? No. There's your landing gear. They're kind of set in there. There's a definite place for them to sit, and they're all pre-made. Of course, nobody ever squeezes the tires, so I'm squeezing these. These are foam. I would prefer a rubber tire, but this is probably best on grass. It's my first airplane, so what do I know? That looks like a motor assembly right there. Here's a bag of goodies. This is your landing gear top piece. Some other stuff on there. Now they did this with the cap right there. I don't like that this plane does not have windows. I may change that. This plane will be heavily modified when it's through, so I'm not one of those guys that just gets this plane and decides, oh yeah, it looks great the way it is. No. Planes are made to modify, and I'll put my own paint scheme and everything on here. So yeah, continuing on, guys. Yeah, I got them gaudy ass decals off right away, and at least from that wing section. Now we can see the fuse. Got to get these decals off of here. This thing's going to get a custom paint job, so none of this crap. It wasn't even applied correctly, so you know. And the best way to peel these decals, by the way, in case you're wondering, is well, if I can get one started. This fuse one. On a flatter surface, they're easier, but anyway, what you want to do is, and I've been printing and peeling decals since the 80s, guys. Okay, so I know decals. Some decals you have to, when you pull them up, you have to pull them toward you instead of toward their back. Does that make sense? Let's see if I can make one go right now. This one's going to be stubborn because it's on really good. Oh, shiced. Oh, here, this one on the wing that probably come right up. So, there's actually 3 ways to pull a decal off of a substrate. This substrate being closed cell foam and large. It's large closed cell foam. Do you see those? You see the cells? They're large. They are dense, but they're large. So you can pull a decal the way we always did as a child, back at a 45. See that? I'm back at a 45. Or you can peel it straight back, constantly moving back to the front line to make sure that it has almost a crease in it as it's folding. Or some decals won't release without their adhesive unless you pull them this way. So actually I'm pulling in that direction, but also lifting in this direction, and it takes a lot longer, and yeah, like that. So that, if you're like peeling something off glass or plastic, that will actually release the decal and not leave any of the adhesive behind. In this case, we're going to do it this way. You see now? I pulled it up this way for this portion here that's white. So that's how much foam it pulled off. And that's how I came to find out that pulling decals off of foam, you need to leave them flat like this, creased, and pull it straight back against the substrate. That will take the adhesive and won't take any foam with it. Very important, you guys making these videos, to explain this stuff to us newbies. Don't let us figure it out for ourselves and then have to correct you by making proper videos. Okay, the fuse is out of the box. Okay, but there are still things left in the box. This is what I'd like to see as a noob. I'd like to see what happens when you get the wing and fuse out and there's a wing left. Oh, what's this? There's stuff in here. Ooh. Look at these hinges, guys. That's good stuff. Okay? No one really unboxes correctly, in my opinion, because, I mean, look, I want to see all this. See that reinforcing right there? I didn't know any of that was there. That's how it's held on, see? Put some screws in. Oh, and look, there's the lights. The landing lights. And this is how they're wired. Oh, nice. Thanks, Donny. Alright, back to finishing this decal on the wing, still inside the box. See, I'm still making sure this is flat. And you see how it's still not picking up foam. And that's how it's supposed to be. Gentlemen. Now, gentlemen, I'm gonna, and ladies, because I know you ladies are out there, you're probably going, how come they always say guys? Guys this, guys that? Yeah, guys. Why do you always say guys? Don't you know there's ladies in the sport? So ladies, shake that healthy flap. Baby got flaps. Alright, so I'm going to try to get this decal off without stopping the camera and restarting. This is a handheld unboxing. Okay, so I got it started. I'm just going to do it diagonally, of course. Decals, for some reason, are easier to get off of their substrate if you do them diagonally, for the most part. Getting in a hurry. Getting in a hurry. Don't do it. Don't be in a hurry. I mean, unless you don't care, but I want this baby to look really pretty when it's flying. So, the less sanding I have to do, on this surface, the better. See how the servos are already installed, and the control arms and the horns and everything. It's listo, Calisto. Alright, I got her laid out on the table. Just gonna put the landing gear in, like my good buddy on the silver screen is doing. Oh yeah.
So we've got them in there, and now I'm just gonna snug them in tight. And there's the landing gear.
Make sure you subscribe to his channel.
The landing gear installation is to install the nose gear.
Some guys do these connections off camera. Well, what's the use in that? I guess I'm too close. Oh, okay, there we go. Focus, you back. Eh? That's the nose wheel right there. Eh? Turn this. Faces forward. And that hopefully is facing the right way. Yes. Okay. Good. Alright, so the instructions say to use those little wood type screws or plastic screws with the aggressive threads on them, but not me. I got some socket cap tempered black screws, and I've already tapped my threads into the receiver plastic, so these are threaded and ready to go. So that's what those look like when they're tightened, and those will hold until I'm ready to remove them, and then they'll come right out and they'll go right back because they have their own threads. So it's the next day. Obviously I'm taking my time on this. You could probably put it together in an hour if you've done these before, but this is my first airplane, guys. I'm taking my time. I gotta put this assembly together here. The old tailage, and that's going to require this plane to be standing up because I have to do some CA gluing into these slots for the rudder. So I have stood my plane up on its nose, no prop yet, taking the advice of my YouTube mentors. I put some double-sided tape here just to keep the plane steady. It's not going anywhere. It's going to stay there while I get this glued. Alright, so rudder is now glued on one side, waiting for that to dry, and then I will flip it over on this side and put some CA down in that hinge. But I got a good gap. Nobody talks about what kind of gap you need. Minding your gap all over. I think that's going to be okay. I may have to trim that one. That's the only gap I'm worried about. See that corner right there? Boom. A little bit close. So if the whole plane doesn't fit on the table, at least see if you can get the gear on the table and stick it down good. That's right, stick it. Alright, so we got the tail section in. We are moving on to the wings. Got the spar in there. We got our struts assembled. Whew, this thing's gonna be huge. Alright, we got the wings on the beast. It's a beast. Gentlemen, there be a plane in here. Ooh-wee. Nice. I don't know how to get the flaps up. Alright, so you gals and guys, Only here in this tiny house are you going to see this guy that doesn't believe in commercials or ads, whatever you want to call them, holding his plane by its tail section here. Oh yeah, it's just a mammoth. I'm gonna have to build some kind of, I mean, I have a wagon, but I don't know if it'll fit in a suitcase of some kind of RC box. I have no idea, but it's all together and it's crazy. Yes, I took those off. Okay, the fenders come off. Not super easy. There's a few screws, but they come off, and the reason it's important to take them off, let me just rest this on my shoe. Whew, this is 9 pounds, but 9 pounds of glory. The reason I took these off is, listen to that. Hear the note? You hear that note? That is a note on the keyboard, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? And they sound like drums, don't they? Or little musical instruments. The point I am making is these are hollow chambers made of hard plastic. And they mount directly onto these here metal struts. Are you getting where I'm going yet? Does anybody know about sound waves and how they carry through solid objects? And how they reverberate in boxes that are open and have no sound deadening. Thank you, Gus, for that helpful screech. So the thing is, if you're going to run the Cessna or any other plane with these fenders on it, I would suggest filling the inside cavity, but making sure you fill each half so that you can still take them apart with expandable foam. You know what that is. You could fill the entire thing if you wanted to, and then slice it apart with a long razor blade down the center as you take the two halves apart, or you can do the two halves apart and just lay the foam in, let it rise, then cut it even. Then you're going to have to dish out for this 3 3/4 inch tire a little spot where it would normally go. But the rest of that wheel well will be filled with foam, and it will be a sound deadener so that you won't hear all the rattling that these unlubricated wheels produce. Now, I went in and put some lubrication in these wheels. No one ever talks about the wheels. Why don't they have bearings or bushings? And look at these cheap aluminum collars. I can't even get it to focus. Hang on. Focus. Cheap aluminum collars, which I replaced the stupid ass zinc screws with these socket cap screws. And they're going to do a much better job of staying in the collar and also holding it to that axle. Yeah, they're lubed. So they're quiet. Alright, so here's a better look at the fuse. The prop is installed. I have not done any balancing on this prop yet. I can see my added cap screws in there, holding that in place. This one over there, of course. You can see that I've added cap screws for the front landing gear, and yes, I took the fender off of that as well. Both sides have a collar, both sides got the royal treatment. I still have to go in with some Loctite on these screws. I have not done that yet. I just wanted to make sure that they would fit and that they would provide, thank you Gus, plenty of stability keep those wheels on, at least until I buy the new wheels. Okay guys, I've just taken the prop off because there is more work to be done before the maiden flight of the beast. Obvious paint work, you know, that can go at any time, but there is actual work to be done. Down here I removed the 2 screws that were set down in the brass receivers because those screws hold in place this whole assembly here in this box. I've got to bring that down again and work on this shock absorbing system here. I'm going to soften the spring inside. I'm also going to sand and buff this very rough rod here and make sure all these screws are tightened and have Loctite on them before final assembly, and then I will put it back up in there, and it will be much better at handling rough or smooth landings. As you can see, just as a side note, I've used the styrofoam inside. Yeah, I know, it just looks like a cheap cooler, huh? But, you know, there's a lot of engineering went into this, so the price is a bit steep. But if I can take care of it and learn to fly it well and not crash it, or learn to repair it when I do crash it, it will be just fine. Those are the antennas that go into the top at final assembly on the field. They go right up here into these little receiver slots. And then that's the radio antenna. Super scale models always have the radio antenna and the pitot tube and all the other goodies that you would normally see on the outside of an airplane. This is supposed to be super scale, but it's not really. It's scale in the fact that they've included panel lines and things of that nature, but it's not super scale. There's no windows. Okay, there's no really good graphics on here. I mean, this paint is about as cheap as a $2. I'm sorry, I won't go there. You kids, just cover your ears. It's cheap paint. You just look at it and it falls off. So we're not going to have that in the end. We'll have a coating on here, a primer coating, after it's been sanded smooth and beautiful, and then we'll primer it, and then we'll give it a nice two-tone paint scheme. I'm thinking silver and black.